Edmonton's Brian Kelly could become the CFL's all-time touchdown receiving leader tonight. You're looking live at BC Place in Vancouver as the road to the Grey Cup continues on CBC Sports.
CBC Sports presents Saturday Night Football, the CFL on CBC.
The NBA has 5'6" Bud Webb. The NHL has Matt Snaslund at 5'8". 5'8" Kirby Puckett is the answer in Major League Baseball. And proving that good things come in small packages to the CFL is 5'6" Henry Gizmo Williams of Edmonton. The Gizmo hopes to use this sort of brilliance to silence the fans at BC Place. BC receivers Jim Sandusky and Ned Armour have answered the often-asked question, can the line survive without the departed Mervyn Fernandez? The answer appears to be yes. But the Eskimos have Brian Kelly. This was his 87th career touchdown reception. The record is 88, so Kelly will soon be confirmed as the CFL's greatest touchdown receiver. We welcome our viewers across the country to the CFL on CBC. It's Saturday night.
CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Breweries. The CFL, it's the game around here. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Air Canada, celebrating 50 years of serving Canadians at home and around the world.
Welcome, everyone, to Saturday Night Football. The road to the Grey Cup will lead us right back here to BC Place for the Grey Cup game on November 29th. And the betting is one of these two teams, the Edmonton Eskimos or the BC Lions, will be in it. They are clearly the powers of the Western Conference, and therein lies the significance of this game tonight. Let's hear about it from Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster.
Scott. Well, a number of interesting stories are about to unfold tonight under the dome. We've heard about Brian Kelly, but Ron Lancaster, Jim Sandusky is the key man in the receiving corps of the BC Lions.
Well, everybody knows Brian Kelly is going to set the receiving record, but that man number 3, Jim Sandusky, very vital to whether the Lions win or lose, not only as a pass receiver, lived in the shadow of Fernandez, but also as a kick returner.
Talking about kick and punt return, people, is there any better than Henry the Gizmo Williams? A couple of weeks ago against the Calgary Stampeders, he established a league record for punt return yardage in a single game. He broke 2 for touchdowns, 71 yards and 91 yards. And I think tonight, Lou Pasaglia might be well advised to kick the ball away from Henry Williams.
If he doesn't, he's Mr. Excitement and Mr. Field Position, and that's great.
Each team has an outstanding performer defensively. Stuart Hill for the Eskimos and Brett Williams in his first game as a BC Lion.
Well, 7 sacks for Stuart Hill already. Looks like it's going to be a banner year if everything goes well for him. But the guy on the other side is going to give the BC Lions a great pass rush from the inside. They love to come from the outside, but he's going to be the man inside.
The Lions and the Eskimos fighting for first place in the West. Right now, let's go back to Scotto.
Don, at halftime and inside the CFL, will be joined live by Edmonton's Brian Kelly, who could by that time have tied or broken Tommy Scott's all-time CFL touchdown reception record, and Chris Cuthbert will file a report on the miraculous recovery of Edmonton's James Bell, who suffered a serious injury here last September. The kickoff is next when the CFL on CBC returns.
Again, everyone. Well, 23 degrees is the temperature outside, and with the sun beating down on the Teflon-covered dome, it could become warm inside the dome as the game progresses. Well, the Blues Brothers are in attendance, and of course they're offering their support for Grey Cup 87, and they seem to be a fixture at the Grey Cup every year, as they will be, I'm sure, this year in Vancouver. Dave Ewell is the referee tonight, and the officiating staff that he will be working with consists of Bill Jones, Bernie Prusco, Wayne Shorten, Brian Donnelly, and John Middleton. The BC Lions, Lou Pasaglia, preparing to kick off to get this game underway. Henry Williams is one of those back to receive, and the ball is kicked away from him. It goes to Stephan Jones, and Jones, trying to get to the outside, will be brought down by Nelson Martin at the 36-yard line. That's where the Edmonton Eskimos will scrimmage 1st and 10 under the direction of Matt Dunnigan.
Well, Matt Dunnigan with 3 touchdowns. He gets to be the starting quarterback tonight, but they've been splitting a lot with Damon Allen. Excellent set of backfielders. No problems at all. Chris Skinner. Receivers, what can we say? Brian Kelly's going to set a record sometime tonight. Maybe not this week, but next week. 9 years experience across that offensive line, and they got their work cut out for him tonight.
Well, we all know about the fact Kelly needs 1 touchdown. He needs 9 yards and a reception to go over 10,000 yards. But the first pass of the game goes to Milson Jones. He breaks the tackle down the sidelines, and Milson Jones is going to go all the way. And the man who threw a key block for him was Brian Kelly.
Well, they caught the BC Lions in man-to-man coverage, and that forces Nelson Martin, the safety man, to come up and cover the back coming out of the backfield. He would give him too much cushion and then just couldn't make the tackle, and Milson Jones showed good speed. What's coming out of the backfield is Milson Jones, number 34. The closest guy to him is Nelson Martin, who's the safety. It's his job to cover him. He looks like he's got him lassoed, but all of a sudden he slings him forward, and now it's just a race. And as you say, Brian Kelly does what he should. He doesn't knock him down, but he screens him and gets in his way and allows him to score. So what a beginning.
The point after by Tom Dixon, and quickly the Edmonton Eskimos, just 34 seconds into the ball game, lead 7-0. A 74-yard touchdown run by Milson Jones, number 34. Well, for a team that was dominated by the Edmonton Eskimos last year, this is not the way the BC Lions wanted to start the ball game.
No, they wanted to come out and shut them down. Sometimes this can have a reverse effect. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you see, they would have made the tackle, but when he had him around there, he kind of slings them. Milson Jones shows excellent speed because the Lions have pretty good speed in the secondary. Watch Brian Kelly, number 70. A good job. He doesn't try to do anything fancy. Just stay between him and the ball carrier, and that allows Milson Jones to go untouched.
You're absolutely right on that attempted tackle by Nelson Martin. Almost a slingshot effect to move Milson Jones down the sideline. 74 yards for the major score. So now Tom Dixon will kick off for the Edmonton Eskimos. Mel Bird on the return. Bird is stopped at the 38-yard line, and that's where the BC Lion offense will put it into play. Mike McLean was there to make the tackle, limiting the return to 28 yards.
Well, the BC Lions and Roy DeWalt will be the leader as he has been. Don Matthews makes no doubt that his leader is Roy DeWalt. John Henry White back in the lineup now. Scott Leckie, the inside receiver, first start for him tonight. And offensively, a big, big offensive line.
That screen pass to Sandusky, and it almost appeared as though the Edmonton Eskimos were reading the Lions playbook as William Mitchell came over to make the tackle. Don Matthews' team is coming off a 16-day break created by the schedule alterations. The Eskimos coming off their first loss of the season, a 40-30 decision at the hands of the Hamilton Tiger Cats last Sunday.
And you know, when you talk about a 16-day break, that's longer than they're in training camp. That's an awful long time.
Well, they treated the break like a mini training camp. Roy DeWalt having trouble finding the receiver. He decides he'll run with the ball, but he'll be stopped short of the first down by William Mitchell, again coming over from that linebacking position.
What was nice on that play, Don, was the 2 linebackers, Mitchell and Bass. They were sitting back at about 10 or 12 yards, and when Roy DeWalt started forward, they never moved. They just stayed there. Once he crossed the line of scrimmage, they come up and made the tackle. We'll get a look at him here. They drop back. You'll see Danny Bass at the bottom. Now, DeWalt's going to look like he runs, but they don't fall for that, because if they come up, he'll throw it over their head. But as soon as he crosses the line of scrimmage, both of them converge. That's good defense.
Lou Pasaglia stands at the 30-yard line for this third down punt. And Henry Williams will take it at the 25-yard line. A penalty flag thrown, and Williams also goes down immediately at the 28. Peter Vandenbos was downfield to make the tackle after a 47-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia.
He took a good hit, too. I think they're going to get called for no yards, being the Lions, but it was a good hit, good coverage.
No yards, BC 34. First down.
You know what I liked, Don, yesterday at the press conference when Don Matthews was asked if they were going to do anything special for this man, Henry Williams. He says, no. He said, you have to challenge your special teams to get down there and do what they did right there. Maybe not any no-yard penalty, but they had him surrounded and make the hit because he's not that big and you can knock him around.
Scott Leckie was the first man downfield on punt coverage for the BC Lions. But the no-yards penalty will move the ball out just shy of the 40-yard line. That's where the Eskimos lead at 7-0. Scrimmage, first and 10. Dunnigan throwing over the middle, intended for Tom Richards. Tyrone Cruz made contact with him, resulting in what appears to be pass interference.
Flag came out very, very late, didn't it? I looked for it when they had their collision. I looked for the flag.
Forward pass interference. British Columbia. First down.
So that's a first down for the Edmonton Eskimos. The ball is at the 49-yard line.
Well, you see the ball being thrown. It's a little bit behind them. That's awful tough. I like the way that guy played defense.
Richards comes out. Howlett goes in, and the pitch goes to Chris Skinner. Trying to go to the right side, and he'll have a gain of maybe 5 yards before being stopped by the middle linebacker, Tyrone Cruz.
The big thing when you play the Lions, you know one thing, they love to play pressure defense. And when you play pressure defense, you're going to see those interference calls like that play before. Man-to-man coverage downfield. They're gambling that they will get to your quarterback and not give you the allotted time to throw, so they have to crowd those receivers in a hurry.
Noise is always a factor for opposition quarterbacks under the dome. Matt Dunnigan says the one thing you usually can't do here is audible. He's got a receiver open, and Marco Sincar makes the catch at the 34.
Well, we said they're going to have to get a big effort out of those 5 offensive linemen up front. BC Lions dropped into a zone. That means they're going to rush 4, and that offensive line of the Eskimos did a great job to give Dunnigan time to look from the right side of the field all the way back across to Sincar, and they make the catch.
First and 10. The Eskimos threatening to add to their 7-0 lead as they are at the 34 of the BC Lions. Pass is intercepted down the sideline. Goes Larry Crawford. Forced out of bounds by Leo Blanchard.
Well, we talk about man-to-man coverage. Watch how close Larry Crawford is to his receiver. Watch him. He's right there. It's an impossible pass to throw when he's got the inside position. Good job of blocking downfield, and it looks here like he's going to go the distance. Gets a good block on Hector Potier, and then all of a sudden, who comes across? Saves the day for him, Leo Blanchard.
Actually, Crawford had stepped out back at the 30-yard line, but that was great pursuit by Leo Blanchard to come all the way back to make the tackle. Dumped off to John Henry White, and he's hit right at the line of scrimmage by Larry Ruck, the linebacker. Roy DeWalt was in trouble and dumped it off to White, but there was nowhere for him to go.
There you see Crawford running. Switches hands with that ball, gets it in the outside and tried to lateral it. Wow, that's weird. That's hard for me to believe.
Well, he led the team for a couple of seasons in interceptions, and Larry Crawford picks off a big one in this game against the Edmonton Eskimos. Second and 10. DeWalt throwing into the end zone. It's incomplete. John Pancratz, the intended receiver, seemed to get tangled up with the defensive back, the safety, Junior Robinson, as he attempted to break his pattern in the end zone.
They had a crossing pattern going on, Pancratz and Sandusky, and Sandusky ended up on the ground, and Roy DeWalt ran right down there. He wanted a pass interference call, but he didn't get it.
10 minutes remaining in the opening quarter, 7-0. The Edmonton Eskimos lead the British Columbia Lions, and Lou Pasaglia will attempt a field goal from 37 yards out. It's good. So the BC Lions are on board with 9:44 remaining in the opening quarter. They trail by 4. Well, I think almost any time this year when the Edmonton Eskimos give up a field goal, they'll opt for the other team to kick off because of the strength they have in that kickoff return unit with the man who has the ball, Stephan Jones, and Henry Williams. And Stephan Jones brings it back to the 42-yard line. So they improved their field position by 7 yards. Right now, let's go down to Scott Oak.
Don, one of the major concerns of visiting teams here at BC Place is the noise level. At worst, you can't hear yourself think down here on this field. At best, I guess we could say it's a constant drone. Now, over the years, visiting teams have tried everything to filter out the crowd noise, including these industrial earplugs. But the problem is they filtered out too much, including some of the quarterback signals, so no one's using them anymore, instead relying on scoring early and often. But that's tough, as you know, against this BC defense.
Well, as Matt Dunnigan said prior to the game, one of the best ways to quiet the crowd is to put points on the board early. And the Edmonton Eskimos achieved that goal with a touchdown on the very first play, 74 yards from Dunnigan to Milson Jones. But it does prevent a team from audibling at the line of scrimmage. It's difficult for the wideouts to hear the call.
Yeah, they have to signal it out. You call it, the slot back will get it, he'll relay it to the wide receiver because you just can't hear well enough.
2nd and 10 from the 42-yard line. The screen to Milson Jones. He gets one block and is stopped 2 yards short of a first down.
Well, you catch him in his own defense, 2nd and long yardage. He just wants to throw a screen pass out to the left. Just didn't get the block. I always see Tyrone Cruz. Now he's going to drop back. He's reading. He sees Milson Jones going on the screen. It's his job. Get out there. Fights off a good block, keeps his balance, gets in on the tackle. Brett Williams, Tyrone Cruz.
Well, here's a man who is certainly under the gun. A lot of pressure as a result of those missed field goals and that loss last week to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. In field goal formation, you'll see that Matt Dunnigan will hold for Tom Dixon this week. There's movement at the line of scrimmage, and it appears to be an offside call against the BC Lions. So that penalty will give the Edmonton Eskimos an automatic first down.
Procedure, Edmonton, 3rd down and 2.
Let's just take a look at it, see what happens. The left tackle moved. I think the center's the guy that was called. He moved his arm and everything before he snapped, and that's when they jumped. And everybody here thought BC was outside, but the referees got him. I think anytime penalties like that occur, they are on the offense.
Well, I read the signal by Danny Bass, who indicated that the penalty was against the BC Lions. He pointed to the bench and said it's against them, but it was a procedure call against the Edmonton Eskimos. So that moves the Eskimos 5 yards further back, and they'll be kicking again with Tom Dixon standing at the 30-yard line. Jim Sandusky is the lone man back. Kick goes out of bounds, no opportunity for a return, and they'll spot it at the 25.5. 7-3 is the score. The Edmonton Eskimos leading the BC Lions. Roy DeWalt directing the British Columbia Lions to impressive wins over the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Calgary Stampeders. Those games coming just a couple of days apart.
The 2 games in 3 days and then 16 days off. Well, that's tough. 16 days is a long, long time.
8:03 is the time left in this opening quarter. 1st and 10. DeWalt throwing to John Henry White. It's a foot race down the sidelines, and Foot Tony finally got to him and forced him out of bounds. But not before John Henry had a first down.
Well, they're glad to get him back in the lineup. You know, we talked about it many years. He was the blocker. That's all he was called on to do. But when they give him the football, he catches the ball well out of the backfield, and he does a great job when he's called on to run. He's just been an all-purpose back for him in his 10 years with the BC Lions.
The arthroscopic surgery that he underwent, keeping him out of the game for the first 2 of the season. Jim Sandusky is stopped at the 50-yard line by Ron Howard. Up until last year, the BC Lions under Don Matthews had a great deal of success against the Edmonton Eskimos. Then last year, the Eskimos totally destroyed the BC Lions, outscoring them by a wide margin.
I think it was 140 to 34 in 4 games. That is destroying.
Pass complete to Scott Leckie. He takes quite a hit and will be stopped short of the first down, depending on where they spot the ball, by Stanley Blair.
Stanley Blair has been the leading tackler for the Eskimos coming up in that corner position. He's a rookie, and he makes the hit on Scott Leckie, who's in his 2nd year out of Guelph University. Last year was a 4th-round draft choice. But watch Stuart Hill come in. Good job again blocking. It's a quick throw. Get rid of it because Stuart Hill will get to you. DeWalt Sod got rid of the football, and they're just going to be short enough to kick it. It's a little over a yard. Maybe we could look for a trick or something. You never know with the Lions.
Stuart Hill is certainly having a great season for the Edmonton Eskimos. The initial contact on that play by Stanley Blair, and then Don Wilson came in to finish off the job, making sure that Leckie did not get the necessary yardage. Henry Williams standing back near the goal line to accept this 3rd down kick by Lou Pasaglia. He's a threat every time he touches the ball. Pasaglia attempting to angle it away from him, trying to kick it out of bounds. The ball bounces back into the field of play. Williams picks it up. Couple of fancy moves, and the gizmo goes down at the 20-yard line. 6:16 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. It's a 7-3 game. The Eskimos in front.
Welcome back to BC Place in Vancouver, where the Eskimos lead the line 7-3. It looks like one of the members of the ball-hawking BC secondary could be out of the game. Number 10, Mel Bird, jammed his foot on the kickoff, and the training staff is unsure if he's going to be able to return. It does not look good for him in this game. Don?
Those 3 interceptions by Bird came in the game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He'll be replaced by Todd Wiseman. That means the Lions have to do some juggling as far as positions go in that secondary.
Yeah, Nelson Martin, who normally plays the middle or the safety position, he moves over and takes Bird's spot, and Todd Wiseman from Simon Fraser comes in at the safety position. But I don't think it'll change their defensive plan. Their plan is attack, and they'll just force Todd Wiseman to play man-to-man coverage, but they've got to go after Edmonton.
That's the one thing the BC defense has been noted for, is its aggressive play. They put a lot of pressure, or attempt to, on opposition quarterbacks.
They believe that they can score defensively, and they play the game that way all the time, and you must get mentally prepared to get a physical beating when you play the BC Lions. You may win the football game, but they're going to beat you up.
1st and 10 for Matt Dunnigan and the Eskimos as he sends Brian Kelly wide to the right on this play from the 20-yard line. Talking about that beating, there it is. Walter Ballard brought down the Edmonton quarterback.
Well, Don Matthews is really pleased with his 2 defensive end. Walter Ballard's got great speed. You know, he gets talking, Matthews was talking about 4.6 speed, which he means runs a 40 in 4.6 seconds. Greg Stuman on the other side is just as fast. In fact, he does a lot of the things that James Parker does, and Parker taught him in training camp. But here comes the pressure. They double-team Brett Williams. That means everybody else gets single blocking, and Walter Ballard's the guy that gets there first.
A loss of 7, 2nd and 17. Dunnigan is being pursued by Ballard again, and he throws it down the sidelines incomplete.
See, right there again is what Coach Matthews was talking about. Dunnigan escapes and get outside, but Ballard has a good speed that he can flatten out and run him down from the backside and not allow him to turn the corner. And in that result, he forced him to throw downfield. It's an incomplete pass. They have to kick the football.
It's a little disconcerting for a team to have a touchdown scored against you on the very first play of the game, but it appears as though the BC Lions have recovered, and they seem to be settling down defensively.
Well, Don, I said we'd say something about that later. Over the years, I've noticed if a team comes out and scores a first play on a long pass or something, sometimes they struggle for a long time because they still don't know what they're doing defensively. They got to break and score it, but they haven't learned anything.
Sandusky accepts the ball at the 54-yard line. And he's twisted down at the 43 by Chris Johnston. So the BC Lions on their last 2 offensive series have had good field position, a 10-yard run back that time after a 41-yard kick. This is a big game for the Lions in that they could put 2 losses into that column for the Edmonton Eskimos, and they would still have a game in hand.
And especially everybody was talking about the Lions and the Eskimos are going to meet in that Western final, and I know the Lions want to play it right here under the dome in November.
Going deep. over the head of Scott Leckie. It will be 2nd and 10. Coach Matthews was talking about Roy DeWalt and how he has developed as a quarterback, and many times will stand in there and know that he's going to get the hit and take the hit to complete the pass.
Yeah, especially halfback blitzes. He sees them coming. They know what they want to throw against it, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you would like your quarterback to hold the ball. But DeWalt is so strong, he'll stand right in there, know he's going to get hit, step, throw the ball, and take the hit. And that's tough to do. I mean, I don't know many people like to do that.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 44 of the Edmonton Eskimos. They lead it by a score of 7-3. DeWalt dumps it off to Scott Leckie. Leckie needs some blocking help. It doesn't materialize, and again, the Lions are stopped short of a first down. Larry Ruck was there to make the tackle. But DeWalt has been looking downfield. The Eskimos obviously have been doing a good job of covering those receivers.
Well, I think everybody's talked about if the Eskimos have a weakness, it's in their defensive secondary, and the BC Lions, just like anyone else, want to throw it downfield. But as you say, so far they've covered those receivers real well. And you know, when you're supposedly weak somewhere, you work twice as hard in that area. And we talked to Don Southern yesterday, and he said, we just got to work harder, but we'll get better. And that's what you have to do.
Lou Pasaglia will be attempting a 47-yard field goal. It's good. So Pasaglia's second goal of the game has brought the Lions within a single point with 3:46 left in the quarter. Well, we'll be back under the dome again next Saturday when the Ottawa Rough Riders are the visiting team. The Ottawa Rough Riders with a big win last weekend over the Toronto Argonauts, and tomorrow they are at home to the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. They visit Vancouver next Saturday night to face the Lions. The short kickoff, and they are whistling it down. They're ruling, I believe, that time has not officially been whistled in, but the Lions almost caught the Edmonton Eskimos napping, but I'm not sure whether time had officially been whistled in. That came as something of a surprise, I think, to everyone here.
Yeah, the Eskimos were still in their huddle at midfield, and the Lions were lined up, and I don't know if the whistle went or not, but we're going to find out. If it didn't, it'll come back. But you can't kick the ball till the referee blows the play in, so he'll tell you.
Obviously, referee Dave Ewell had not signaled play in. You see the Eskimos, they're still in their defensive huddle. All of a sudden, the ball is kicked, and they scramble for that football. It was recovered by the Lions, but play have not been whistled in. There's the whistle, and this time, the regular kickoff formation for the BC Lions, and the reverse with the ball given to Henry Williams. Williams is forced out of bounds in front of that BC Lion bench by Anthony Parker. Penalty flags back at the point where Williams was forced out of bounds. Some pushing and shoving by both sides.
Blake Marshall, number 22 for the Eskimos, who has just been activated this game to play special teams. He took a shot down there and started this whole thing. Ball carrier was out of bounds, and it was Blake Dermott, number 50, that got up and went after him, but Blake Marshall was the one that made the hit.
BC number 50. Unnecessary roughness, Edmonton number 22. First down.
I think he may have the numbers reversed. 22 for...
Pretty nice gimmick. Start to the left the way they had returned to punts before, and then Gizmo Williams comes back the other way, and look at the speed. He makes people look slow when he gets hold of the ball.
Reverse angle look at it. It was Blake Dermott of the Eskimos and Marshall. A pickup of about 4 yards stopped by Greg Stuman.
BC Lions have been giving up about 5 yards on a rush, and that's a lot for them because over the years they've been one of the hardest teams in the league to run on. They play that gap control, and they force you all the time on the passes, so they're right up there to cut the running game down, and that's what they'll do as the season goes on.
Bennigan's pass is complete to Tom Richards. He'll get the first down inside the 40-yard line. Stopped by Glenn Jackson.
Pretty nice move by Richards. His second-year man runs that curl over the middle and really came back to the football and just reached out, caught it off balance. But, boy, he came back nice to help Dunnigan out.
First and 10 at the 39-yard line with 2:21 remaining in this opening quarter. 7-6, the Eskimos lead. Dunnigan is caught from behind by Rick Clausen. He got back to the line of scrimmage and not much further.
Well, they sack you with so many different people. With Glenn Jackson is in on that sack along with Clausen. Down here, Ballard's in on it. Brett Williams coming up the middle. We noticed in that one isolation that they were double-teaming him. Well, you can't double-team everybody. So whenever you pick one, the rest of those guys got single blocking. It's their job to get there.
Second and 10. Drop play and a big hole for Milson Jones inside the 20-yard line.
A little bit of a gamble, Don. They bring Nelson Martin on a halfback blitz, and they hit away from the side he was coming and break it for 20 yards. Big play.
Well, Milson Jones has played a prominent role in the success of the Eskimo offense so far in this opening quarter.
Well, you saw Nelson Martin, number 4, trying to come up the middle. Milson Jones went right by him. He didn't even see him.
He originally came into the Canadian Football League with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So far, they have knocked on to Brian Kelly. This time they do. Incomplete. He had double coverage down in the corner of that end zone. And, of course, here in Vancouver, the end zones are 5 yards shorter than the normal CFL playing field because of the dimensions of the dome.
Just turn back blocking. Keep him to the outside. You see Brett Williams, he's having a tough time. He's having a little battle with Leo Blanchard. Finally breaks through. But by then, enough time to throw the football. All you want is about 3 seconds and then get rid of him.
Kelly, of course, needs only 9 yards to become only the 3rd receiver in the history of the Canadian Football League to go over 10,000 yards. It was intended for Milson Jones. It falls incomplete. So it will be 3rd and 10 and will be a field goal attempt almost certainly by Tom Dixon. Matt Dunnigan pleading his case to the referee. Maybe that's what he was complaining about.
Well, Andre Francis was lined up inside of him, and when you got a man like Kelly, you keep him from going in there. He got inside of him. It's Francis's job now. He's beat if he lets him go, so he just grabs him and he gets away with it.
Tom Dixon, who has struggled a little this year, will be attempting this one from 26 yards out. He puts it through. So with just 21 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, the Edmonton Eskimos move into a 10-6 lead over the British Columbia Lions. The first meeting between these two teams this year. Joe Farragelli in just his 2nd game as the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, replacing Jackie Parker, who made the surprise announcement after the game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the first meeting between the two, that because of health conditions he was retiring. Tom Dixon preparing to kick off after the field goal. Crawford and Sandusky are back for the kickoff. It bounces to Crawford. He had difficulty handling it. And with good coverage by the Eskimos, he gets no further than the 14-yard line, stopped there by Blake Marshall. A 64-yard kickoff and just 3 yards on the return. So the BC Lions are backed up deep in their own zone on what will probably be the final play of the opening quarter.
Ideal kick for the Eskimos. It was more or less a line drive low. Crawford wasn't able to catch it in the air, and Don, we've said it a million times, when that ball hits artificial turf, you don't know what's going to happen to it, and it speeded up on the bounce, and Crawford couldn't handle it. So as a result, they're inside their 15-yard line.
Armour and Leckie come out wide to the right. Hand off to Anthony Parker. He broke the first tackle and did a pretty good job of picking up 8 yards. finally stopped by Ron Howard, and that will be the final play of the opening quarter, with the Edmonton Eskimos leading by a score of 10-6. Neither coach, Don Matthews on the left or Joe Faragelli on the right, wear a headset. Matthews explained, because you can only communicate with either the offense or the defense.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Don. That's interesting.
Anthony Parker attempting to get that first down on the opening play of the second quarter, and it looks as though he's going to be stopped short. John Mandarich made the tackle.
Well, they're happy to have Mandarich back. Look at that visor that he's wearing on his helmet right now. It's dark green, looks like.
Statistically, the Edmonton Eskimos with 118 passing yards, 74 of them on the very first play of the game on the touchdown throw to Milson Jones. Of course, that big interception enabled the BC Lions to move down into field goal range. The theft by Larry Crawford. The measurement to determine whether or not Parker has a first down. He's that much short. Will the BC Lions at their own 24-yard line gamble?
Yeah, you got to go get this one. It's less than a half a yard, and DeWalt's over 200 pounds, and they give you a yard, he should make it. But what you were talking about earlier, Don, the head coach, I really believe that there should be 3 headsets on the sideline. The head coach should have a headset to where he can talk to either the offense or the defense. But the way it is now, there's 2 headsets down there. The offensive guys have one, the defensive coaches have the other. So if the head coach wears it, then he will become more aware of that particular side of the ball, and it makes it difficult to make decisions on the other side of the ball.
Third down gamble, penalty flags as Roy DeWalt hits the 25-yard line, which would be enough for a first down. Was it procedure or offside?
That's offside. Evans.
Let me take one more shot at that explanation, okay? What it comes down to, all right, let's watch Roy DeWalt. You got to make this sneak, wedge it. Mandarich moves. There it is. That's the first down. Now just get in here right behind number 65, Roper, and just get straight ahead. But if you're the head coach and you talk to the offensive coach in a box, you lose track of what's going on defensively. So if you don't wear one at all, then you can stay in the game.
John Henry White doing a lot of struggling to reach the 35-yard line for a gain of 6.
Well, we talked about him earlier. Now, right here, he's getting the opportunity finally in his career to carry the football. And if you saw that, as you mentioned, he struggled and fought for every one of those yards. Good job.
One of the veterans of this BC football team, John Henry White, primarily a blocking back in recent years. Our low-level camera showing the ball just shy of the 35-yard line as Roy DeWalt is chased out of the pocket, and he's got John Henry White for a first down out to the 42-yard line. He's caught by Don Wilson.
Second down and 4, first down and 10, doesn't matter. A little play-action pass. The first read for the quarterback is in the flat. Don Wilson, number 20, had him covered very well, but then he backed off of. Here comes John Henry. Now he's going out. Now what's number 20 will show up. He's got him covered pretty good, and he backs off a little bit for some reason. They get the ball to him, and now he has to make up the ground, but he'll get the 4 yards, which is all he wanted to start with.
First and 10 at the 42-yard line. The Lions trailing by 4. Throwing deep down the sidelines, intended for Sandusky. It's incomplete. He was being covered by Ron Howard. Sandusky immediately looked back as though to suggest to the official that he was interfered with by Howard, but there was no penalty flag.
But this is an interesting statistic last year. 27 interceptions that the BC Lions threw. 11 of them were against the Eskimos. That may account for why they were blown out so many times. But again, all receivers have that tendency. If they go outside deep for a pass and they don't get it, they turn around to see if there's any flags, because most receivers feel without, if they hadn't helped me, I'd have got it.
From the 42, it's second and 10, penalty flag, and I'm sure this will be offside against the BC Lions. I think it's going to be brought back. I think Ned Armour jumped. The pass was completed to Scott Leckie, who was brought down by Stanley Blair.
Offside. BC number 8. Second repeated.
Well, Don, those are things that drive coaches crazy. You tell the wide receivers, if you don't know the snap count, watch the football. And he knows he made a mistake. I mean, regardless of what he does, he's not going to get hit right away, so he can be a half a second late coming off, but don't jump the gun, because they wiped out a 10-yard gain and a first down, and now it's 2nd and 15, pressure down.
At the 37-yard line, the Lions out of the shotgun formation on 2nd and 15. DeWalt throwing the screen to Tony Parker. Good job by Parker, but he's going to be brought down at the 50 with an excellent tackle by Larry Ruck. Had the Saskatoon Hilltop grad not come over to make that stop, Parker had a potential big gain.
Well, they forced him to cut back, and he had to run away from him. He had Dan Hurley, John Henry White, and Scott Leckie there to block for him, but one of the Eskimos forced him to cut back, and he made one good move, but as you say, Larry Ruck made a big tackle, or he had big gains, big yardage.
12:01 remaining in the half. Henry the Gizmo Williams back with his 3rd down kick by Lou Pasaglia. And Pasaglia trying to kick it away from Williams. But the ball takes the bounce to Williams at the 7-yard line. He outruns Scott Leckie. Now looks for a block, but can't get away from Todd Wiseman. Fine coverage by Wiseman, limiting the return of Henry Williams with 11:32 left in the half.
Well, we're going to watch the snap, a terrible snap out to the side. They try to keep that middle clear so the kicker can step right into it. When the ball goes out to the side like that, you saw Pasaglia take it back to the middle. That's where his blocking is.
You may have also noticed Pasaglia's eyes. We'll tell you more about them in a moment. The ball is at the 10-yard line. Donegan to Skinner. And he is stopped at the 16. It will be 2nd and 4. Lou Pasaglia picked up an eye infection, pink eye, from one of his children. And it's been causing him some problems. We asked Coach Don Matthews if he was concerned about other members of the team catching it, as it is quite contagious. He said, no, most of the guys stay well away from those kickers anyway.
They said, we don't hang around him much. The kickers stay by themselves.
Quick move by Stuman to bring down the ball carrier for a loss and force the Edmonton Eskimos into a punting situation. He has some quickness. And Don Matthews said he does some things actually better than James Quick Parker.
You know, that's hard to believe because everybody rates Parker as the best in the league. And when anybody, they say, can do something that is well or better. But that's what it is. He comes from the backside, number 45, with the play going away from him, and he closes it down real quick. Parker sometimes, he says, takes too big a loop and he can't get back. But Stuman come right down across the line of scrimmage and makes a tackle from behind. Of course, he had a good coach.
Skinner had absolutely no chance as he was caught immediately by Stuman. The ball bounces to Sandusky, and Sandusky is stopped by Larry Ruck. Right now, let's go down to Scott Oak.
Well, Don, just as devastating to the Lions as the loss of Mervyn Fernandez to the NFL was the loss of rush-in James Quick Parker to a knee injury suffered while playing racquetball in the offseason. James, it's been said you're going to be out for the season. You're not exactly resigned to that, are you?
No, it's been progressing well, so they predicted I should be back end of September, early October.
You've done a good job of tutoring your replacement, Greg Stuman. In a nutshell, what have you told him?
Told him, you know, what to look for when they pass rushes and how to use the offensive tackle's momentum to try to get yourself by instead of just running right into him.
All right, thanks, James. Good luck on your rehabilitation.
All right, thank you.
1st and 10 for the Lions at the 35-yard line. That may prove to be a difficult decision for Matthews when Parker does return as to what shift he makes along that defensive front. John Pancratz is caught immediately by linebacker William Mitchell. It will be a gain of about 6 yards, maybe 7.
Yeah, DeWalt wants to roll to his short side. DeWalt will roll to the short side. Okay, John Henry White stands in there. He takes on Stuart Hill. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Of course, he's got somebody named Parker standing back there to help him, and he needed it. But DeWalt went to his right. Watt didn't have anything. Turned around, and Pankratz finds a hole, and he hits it for that quick 6-7 yards.
Second down and 2. A handoff to Parker, and he'll get the first down. There's also a penalty flag. Larry Ruck, the linebacker, making the stop on the BC running back with 9:15 remaining in the half. 10-6 is the score. The Edmonton Eskimos leading the Lions.
Holding, BC 66. Second down repeated.
Jim Mills, the 6'8", 280-pound product who played his collegiate ball at Hawaii. He's a native of Richmond, British Columbia, returning to the team last year. Last year, we played right tackle. This year, he's moved over to the left side. One of the reasons, he had a right shoulder problem. I think that fellow needs more than bananas.
Yeah, there's something wrong with him.
Sandusky makes the catch on the sidelines. And it will be a first down at the 52, forced out by Ron Howard. Excellent reception by Sandusky, who had to go high to haul that one in.
Well, Coach Matthews talked about they work on timing patterns, and that particular play right there, it took timing because Howard had good position to cover him, but when Sandusky made the break, the ball was in the air, and that makes it very difficult for any defensive back.
He was just hours away from signing with the New York Jets of the NFL, had a change of heart, and opted instead to remain with the BC Lions. They're happy he did. Ned Armour will go for the touchdown. No, he'll be picked up at the 5-yard line. It looked as though he was home free. Ron Howard got a hand on him to prevent the major score.
Not anything fancy about that one. This is when you put the fastest guy you have out there and say, you run. Now look at him close. Ron Howard took one drag step, and it's too much. He just breezed by him. The ball's thrown perfectly. Only, an excellent reach out and trip up prevents a touchdown. But you got to test those defensive backs. They had thrown some out patterns on Howard. Now, sooner or later, you got to go deep, and Armour did it.
Ned Armour, who was a track star in college, takes it down to the 7 on a 50-yard gain, and Roy DeWalt, looking into the end zone, does not get a chance to throw. Who was pressuring him? James Zachary and Stuart Hill.
Stuart Hill came from the outside in a hurry. He forced DeWalt to pull up, and when he pulled up, he got help inside from Zachary. That's the way you want to contain a quarterback, because if he can't throw the football, he wants to drift outside with it and buy some time. Nowhere to go. Hill wouldn't let him outside.
That takes the ball back to the 14-yard line. Second and goal from that point. Armour goes wide to the right this time. Sandusky out to the left. Armour for Scott Lucky, wide open. He'll score into them. Scott Leckie with the touchdown, putting the Lions ahead.
Now, when you see a man this far in the open, you know somebody blew the coverage. So when he goes across the goal line, the first thing you do is look at the defensive backs, and they're all standing there looking at one another. They just blew a coverage. It's a mistake. DeWalt found the open receiver, and it's an easy touchdown.
Point after by Lou Pasaglia, and the Lions have the lead for the first time in the ball game with 7:13 remaining in the first half. Scott Leckie getting the major score on the throw from Roy DeWalt. We'll be back with the BC kickoff after this. The Lions in front 13-10 as Lou Pasaglia prepares to kick off after the score by that man, Scott Leckie, on a 14-yard throw from Roy DeWalt. Henry Williams and Stephan Jones are back to receive the kickoff. Stephan Jones will take it at the 25. We've got two dynamite kick returners in Stephan Jones and Henry Williams. That run back 24 yards. Bernie Glier was there to make the tackle.
O.C. DeWalt, you'll see how wide open number 34, Scott Leckie, is. There's nobody near him. You'll see number 20, who should be covering him. He'll turn around and look to the inside like, all right, what happened? You know, he normally has the second man in, and he must have been in a different defense, because you just never find a guy that far open.
That's when a receiver says, oh, please, don't let me drop this one.
And a quarterback says, just don't overthrow him.
Nelson Jones has a gain of about 5 yards before being brought down by Glenn Jackson. Jackson is returning to the BC lineup after missing the first 2 games of the year. He hasn't missed many in his career.
No, he's been a very solid performer for him. You know, not only at linebacker, they'll move him up to the defensive end. He rushes the quarterback. And, you know, you can't say enough about a guy with that many years experience, because he's a great influence on these young guys they have coming in.
2nd and 5 from the 54-yard line. The crowd attempting to become a factor in the ball game, and I'm sure they are. The fake to Nelson Jones. Dunnigan will run it, looking to the sidelines, and he runs it out of bounds with a first down at the 44 of the BC Lions.
Interesting statistic on Matt Dunnigan. In 1984, when he came up here, he ran for 732 yards. Now we're in the 3rd game of the season. Matt Dunnigan had run the ball 1 time for 5 yards. Don Matthews said yesterday that Dunnigan is now starting to scramble around and run in the backfield to buy time to throw the ball, where in the past he was running upfield. That time, he would have just as soon thrown it, but he got the first down, and that's what he wanted.
Damon Allen, however, is another story.
Well, he still has to learn that. You know, he get knocked around a little bit. He's averaging 14 yards a carry. That's not bad.
Richards on the sideline is able to hang on despite the fact that Nelson Martin was draped all over him. But he'll only get a gain of about 1 yard.
Matt really wouldn't be real happy about that. It was not a great throw, but a great catch. What he should have done, throw that ball up in the stands. He's going to try to come back to the inside. Boy, if Andre Francis and Kelly are having a good battle, that's the pattern he eventually wanted to run. Down the field, 12 yards and hook. He said, now, if you're going to hit me, I'll hit you back. But they're going to have a battle all night.
Dunnigan throwing deep down the sidelines. Ryan Kelly attempted to come back for that football, and the coverage was provided by Keith Gooch.
Well, let's look at Gooch. Kelly's trying to go outside him. Gooch staying on his inside. Now watch this when the ball's in the air. Kelly tries to come back. Gooch had a pretty good hold of him. You know, Kelly didn't complain a bit. He just got up and came back. I was a little bit surprised.
Well, Kelly, 9 yards shy of going over the 10,000-yard mark in reception yardage. Only Tommy Scott and Tommy Joe Coffey have ever caught passes for more yards in the CFL. Jim Sandusky is the lone man back for this 3rd down kick by Tom Dixon. The ball bounces. Sandusky retreats to the 3-yard line and is taken out of bounds by Mark Norman with 4:47 left in the half. Well, the Lions are backed up to their own 6-yard line, 1st and 10, following that Tom Dixon punt. Armour is wide to the left, and that's where DeWalt is going. Just off his fingertips.
About as close as you can get. DeWalt threw that just the way it had to be thrown. He hung it up nice and high, laid it as far down the field as he thought Armour could get to, and it looked like it went right through his hands. Howard had good coverage on him.
Similar play to the one in which they completed the pass for 50 yards.
Look at the pass. You can't throw it any better from a quarterback's point of view. It's a tough catch, but boy, I'll tell you, when you can make him, boy, he may go the distance with his speed.
Yes, that time, had he been able to pull that one down, I think Armour was headed for the end zone. He lines up wide left again. Pass complete to Anthony Parker, and he'll be very close to a first down. I think he got out to about the 17 before being upset by Larry Ruck, who has played a strong game defensively for the Eskimos.
Most times on 2nd down long yardage, you want him to throw the ball to the back. But all that happened is Larry Ruck was a little bit too far off of Parker, and Parker's got good moves, and he stumbled forward and makes that 1st and 10.
The ground game has been practically non-existent tonight so far for the BC Lions, as they have been throwing to the receivers and to the backs. Draw play this time with Anthony Parker, and perhaps that's why they are staying away from the ground attack. The Eskimos very difficult to run against.
Yeah, lead draw. You give the ball to one back. In this case, it was Parker. John Henry White is the lead blocker. Watch him come up, try to hit Danny Bass. Bass just stuffs him right there, makes a good play, gets off of him. He's there to make the hit. Danny Bass is a pretty tough linebacker to block one-on-one, especially when he sees you coming.
2nd and 7. This time Armour goes wide to the right. Sandusky splits out wide left. Sideline pattern to John Pankratz. He's forced out of bounds by Cliff Toney. Incomplete. He was out of bounds with 2:57 remaining in the half. Well, although John Pankratz made the catch on that last throw, his foot was right on the line when he caught the ball, so it's ruled as an incomplete pass. The Lions are gambling. Scott Leckie takes the throw from Posaglia for a 1st down.
Scott Leckie's having a pretty good football game tonight. Made some key catches. None will be keyer than that one, because when you gamble deep in your own zone, you've got to make that 1st down. Well, we've talked about Posaglia for years. Good snap. He's a quarterback from Simon Fraser. You can tell how he moves around. Well-thrown football. Scott makes the catch, gets the 1st down. That's as big a catch as that touchdown. He's wide open on the touchdown, but if he misses that one, you give up field position late in the half.
Pretty good 4th-round draft pick by the BC Lions. Ned Armour attempting to maneuver away from Ron Howard and Cliff Toney, actually trying to split them. He was unsuccessful.
You know, you're talking down about the lack of a running game. Well, what the Lions try to do is Scott Leckie goes inside and blocks on the halfback, and they throw the ball to Armour, and he's one-on-one with the corner, so he should gain 6 yards.
At halftime inside the CFL, we'll hear from Brian Kelly. We'll have the news update. We'll hear about the remarkable comeback of James Bell, who was injured here under the dome last year. And, of course, we'll also have highlights and statistics. There won't be too much dealing with the running game on either side, but Anthony Parker does come up with a big 1st down before being stopped by Clifford Toney with 2:18 remaining. That was a big gamble, that 3rd down play. Posaglia to Scott Leckie, but it keeps the drive alive with 2:15 remaining in the half.
Don, if you remember last year, the BC Lions gambled from their own end zone, so when they gamble anywhere on the field, it shouldn't surprise anybody.
1st and 10 from the 51-yard line. In and out of the hands of Jim Sandusky. That may have been aided somewhat by Ron Howard, who might have deflected it. Following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian company with international reach, providing leadership in the world of high technology financing.
BC Lions look like they're trying to pick on number 28, Ron Howard, but you know, he's been around the football, and the ones they've caught have been good throws and good catches. He's doing a good job defensively.
DeWalt for time, can't find a receiver. Now dumps it out to Pankratz, and he can't get away from William Mitchell.
You know, Don Masters was talking about DeWalt maturing every year, that he'll wait and wait and wait. Boy, this time he had all day back there. It looked like he was going to run. Finally saw Pankratz. Now, he didn't want Pankratz because he's only going to gain about 5, 6, 7 yards with it. He's the short receiver, but hey, it's better than a 9-yard loss.
What are you thinking about as a quarterback when you're standing back there? You get that time, and you can't find a receiver in the clear.
Help, they're getting close. Let's get rid of this thing somewhere. Now, you hope, what you hope for is that you're looking around trying to find a receiver, but, you know, sometimes everything starts to happen so quick, you panic and you can't see anything down there, and then you're in trouble. But DeWalt held tough and finally found Pankratz. It wasn't what he wanted, but like I said, it's better than a 9-yard loss.
Because usually you don't expect to get that much time.
No, you usually get about 3.5 seconds maximum. and anything over that, the ball should be gone. So you're not normally back there, but you panic a little bit when you're standing back there with nothing to do.
Henry Williams is the lone man back. James Zachary was the injured Edmonton player, but I think he will be back in the ball game. And this time, Lou Pasaglia is going to kick it. Henry Williams will field it at about the 7-yard line. Scott Leckie made the initial contact, but I think it's going to be a face mask violation. Leckie is usually the first man downfield on punt coverage, but he got a hand into the face mask of Henry Williams as the Gizmo attempted to get away from him.
Leckie's job on the punt cover is he is the contained man. That means if the ball is on the 5-yard line.
Face mask. BC number 34. First down.
As I was saying, if the ball's on the 5-yard line, he wants to go about 2 yards past him so he can't get outside of him. He didn't quite get deep enough, and with Williams' speed, he would have got outside of him. You grab anything you can. In this case, he just happened to grab the face mask. He would have rather not, but he did. But don't give that guy any room outside, or you'll chase him forever.
He was nicknamed the Gizmo by teammates in Memphis after a character in the movie The Gremlins.
Well, we had a ball watching him at practice yesterday in his yellow leotards.
First and 10 from the 16-yard line. Dunnigan throws over the middle to Johnstone, and he is all the way out to the 43-yard line, stopped by Todd Wiseman. There's an injured Edmonton Eskimo. Chris Skinner is down. He took quite a hit in that backfield.
That particular pattern that Dunnigan threw, you refer to it as a check down. That means the back goes out and blocks, does a good job, let everything clear out. Now Dunnigan's got a lot of time. Johnstone's blocking, then he just finds a hole, you dump it to him, and you hope he has a hole like this to run into. But it gives those linebackers a chance to clear out and then have that back come into the open area. So you see Johnstone down at the bottom of the screen. He turns him over, and Stuman runs right over Chris Skinner. Took a heck of a forearm to the head. Johnstone made the first block on him, and then he slips out in the pattern, and then poor Chris Skinner has to pick him up when he's mad, and he runs over him.
Well, Chris Skinner was the man designated to remain there and do the blocking for Matt Dunnigan, with Johnstone coming out of the backfield to take the pass and a big first down. But Skinner really took a shot from Greg Stuman. You know, we were talking about James Parker coming back and the decision that Coach Matthews will have to make. It doesn't necessarily relate to Stuman, but along that defensive front, Stuman, Brett Williams, Rick Klassen, and Walter Ballard. Who does Parker move in and replace?
Well, I don't know, but it's a great decision to make. I mean, you got some pretty good football players up there. All 5 of those guys can play. I think that Parker, they won't take any chances on James Quick Parker. They're going to make sure he's completely healthy. And as long as those guys are playing well, why rush him? You know, leave the guy alone. Let him get completely healed. It's good to see Skinner up running off the field, because when he had to take off Stuman's a little bit bigger than him. I think he weighs about 245, and he let him have it.
And Stuman is quite an interesting story. Initially, he came into camp designated to battle with Tyrone Cruz for a linebacking position. The assistant coaches decided they would try and convert him into a rush end. Donegan goes down. Stuman's got him.
Klassen got there first. He forced him to pull it up, and then Stuman showed up, and then number 4, Nelson Martin, on a halfback blitz, they finished him. The pressure from the BC Lions, this is the trademark of that defense, is pressure.
The ball goes back to the 37-yard line. Let's watch Stuman.
Well, he stepped inside the block. There comes Klassen, pulls it down. Now the race is on. Everybody wants to get a part of that quarterback. Stuman Lowe, Nelson Martin, Walter Ballard, they're all there. Boy, they love hitting quarterbacks, don't they? Quarterbacks are pretty nice guys.
Most of the time. Donegan takes a hit as he throws it deep down the sidelines, intended for Chris Johnstone. A dangerous throw for the Edmonton quarterback as he let that one go just as he was going out of bounds.
Tell you what, he takes a heck of a hit. He's very fortunate the ball wasn't intercepted, but look at these guys coming. Now, that's Williamson, Stuman, and Ballard. They only got about a 30-yard run.
Stuman got his head down, put the head on Dunnigan just as he released the ball, and in the battle for the ball downfield, Larry Crawford appears to be the injured BC Lion.
Yeah, now they're in a problem now if another defensive back gets hurt. Usually you have your 5 starting defensive secondary men and 1 backup. When Mel Bird got hurt, that forced their backup Todd Wiseman to play. Now if another one gets hurt, you have to change your scheme. It's got to be changed then. You're 1 short. He'll be okay.
From the reaction of the training staff and Nelson Martin, it appears that Larry Crawford, who had a big interception in the first quarter, will be returning. Just 36 seconds remain in the first half here at BC Place. 13-10 is the score. Lions in front of the Eskimos.
Don, we saw that hit on Matt Dunnigan. I really believe that when you play the BC Lions, the quarterback goes down probably 95% of the time after he throws a pass. They love to see that quarterback on the ground.
Tom Dixon stands at the 24-yard line. Jim Sandusky, just the lone punt returner back. He reverses his field looking for a block over there. Andre Francis can't move everybody out of the road, and Mike McLean comes through to make the tackle.
Yeah, they had set their return up to this side of the field. He come toward us, but there was no way he could get outside, so now you're on your own. Get what you can, but don't drop the ball.
23 seconds show on the clock. Lions will be scrimmaging from the 35-yard line. Ned Armour comes out wide left. He'll be working against Ron Howard. They throw that hitch screen to him, getting a block from Scott Leckie, but Howard does a nice job of recovering.
He does the best thing possible with 24 seconds left. The only thing that can hurt you is a big play. If Howard does exactly what he should on that hitched Armour, he comes up from the outside, forces Ned Armour to go back inside. You got a lot of help out here. Watch. Here he comes. Scott Leckie trying to block. But look where Howard's at. He said, no, you want the ball, go back in there. I got help in there. But if he gets outside him, then it's a race.
13 seconds remaining. Penalty flag is down. Catch made on the sidelines by Ned Armour. That will be a first down, depending upon what the penalty call is.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He took a heck of a hit on the sidelines. Howard will give him that out now with 9 seconds left. He'll get off of him, but he says this: if you're going to catch it, I'm going to let you have it. And Ned Armour took a good shot. He's down on the field right now.
He took that shot right in front of the Edmonton Eskimo bench.
It's Dr. Cherry.
BC 34. Second down repeated.
Armour will come back and tell Leckie, say, hey, hold it. Stay on side. If I'm going to take a hit like that, at least have it be legal. He said, that doesn't even count now. I will see the hit. Watch it. Here comes number 28 right over the top. Probably caught him with part of his arm on the head as he's going by on the side of the head.
We talked about Scott Leckie. Don Matthews sang the praises of this young man yesterday, and Leckie has played a very prominent role statistically in the first half of this ball game. Touchdown and in the penalty department.
You know, last week he was their special teams player of the week, and you know, that's quite an honor on the BC Lions when they vote that special teams player, and Scott Leckie won it last week. Tonight he gets his chance to start. We said second-year man, 4th-round draft choice last year from Guelph. Got a pretty good career ahead of him.
Actually born in New York, but the pride and joy of Collingwood, Ontario.
Yeah.
Draw play on second down. No, to fake on the draw, and the pass on the sidelines nowhere near a receiver, and Roy DeWalt took a hit from Stuart Hill.
Yeah, he's limping a little bit when he got up, and DeWalt did a very smart thing there. That's a trick play. They read everybody running a draw, and he kept it on his hip, and they was hoping to fool the Edmonton secondary, and they didn't. And DeWalt threw the ball to Don Matthews over there. He was wide open. He says, here, coach, it's better than an interception. But Stuart Hill was there to pretty good hit on him.
Well, Henry Williams will get one more opportunity in the first half to perform his specialty. 2 brilliant punt returns in the first game of the season. That 54-16 triumph over the Calgary Stampeders. One for 71 yards, another for 91 yards.
I think Biseglia is going to kick this right over here to the Edmonton bench. Because with 2 seconds, it really doesn't matter. 1 man short. Who's missing out there?
Time count violation. BC number 5.
Todd Wiseman, it looks like, the end man over here. Well, Scott Leckie usually plays the left end. He wasn't there. Now, if you're not in there, the backup should be. So here comes Leckie. Now they're one too many, right? Yeah, Nastasiak's out there. They were too short.
Lou Pizzaglia decided he wasn't going to have anybody center that ball. Playing 10 against 12, and Pizzaglia is not going to kick it. He is simply going to run it out of bounds and take the final 2 seconds off the clock and prevent any opportunity of a run back by the Eskimos. 13-10, the Lions lead at half. Well, the 2 other games this weekend in the Canadian Football League have gone right to the final play. Winnipeg hanging on for a 21-14 verdict over the Calgary Stampeders. Toronto defeating Hamilton last night, 30-27. Sideline pattern, and it's grabbed by Milson Jones. And they're ruling that he made the catch before being forced out of bounds.
Good concentration by Milson Jones. The Lions had dropped into a zone defense, and Andre Francis was going after the football. Jones just leaped up and pulled it down. See, Andre Francis got pretty good coverage. Good concentration. That arm goes across your eyes. Milson Jones just pulls it in.
First and 10, Edmonton at the 22-yard line. Penalty flag as the pass is completed to Milson Jones. He'll get into the end zone. Touchdown, Edmonton. But there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. Will it stand? Apparently it will.
Offside. BC number 18. Decline. Touchdown stand.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos are right back in the ball game with the second touchdown of the night by Milson Jones.
Dunnigan just dropped straight back. Stuman come on a good pass rush outside, but there he is, all alone outside. And once again, Brian Kelly just stands in there and shields him. Said if he has to run through me, he can't make the tackle.
Point after by Tom Dixon. And the Edmonton Eskimos, with 8:40 remaining in the game, have drawn to within 5. We'll be back with the Edmonton kickoff in a moment. The Edmonton Eskimos trailing by 5. Dixon preparing to kick off. Sandusky and Crawford are back. Sandusky will take it at the 21. And he's tripped up as he got to the 35-yard line.
Well, with 8 minutes left on anybody's ball game yet, the Eskimos have come back very, very strong last 5 or 6 minutes. Now the defense need to get it back while that offense is hot.
Steve Howlett was the man who got through after a 14-yard return by Sandusky. These are the 2 teams that most people feel will battle for the Western Division pennant. Well, the Calgary Stampeders and Saskatchewan Roughriders feel that they will have something to say about who the #1 team will be. Screen pass to John Henry White. He's got a convoy.
Pretty well executed screen pass. I mean, they faked the sweep and they pulled the lineman with them. Jim Mills coming around the right side, and they screen back the other way. Watch John Henry. Comes in, makes his block, holds it. Now he releases and escapes. You see Dan Hurley, number 55, Ian Sinclair, get out in front of him. That's a well-executed play.
Cliff Toney did a good job of coming through to make contact along with Ron Howard. It's a first down, but it could have been more at the 45-yard line. Deep down the sidelines, incomplete. Ned Armour, the intended receiver. That's the 3rd time in the game they've run that similar pattern against Ron Howard.
Well, I think they just feel with Ned Armour's speed, he is faster than Howard. They've been tested him, but he may be pulling away from him at the end, but he has stayed with him a long way. He's stride for stride. defensive back wants to be on the inside hip of that receiver, then the only thing that beats him is the perfect throw. Anything else you can maybe get your hand on.
2nd and 10 for the Lions at the 45. 7:27 remaining in the game. 23-18 is the score. BC leading Edmonton. It was intended for Sandusky. It bounces off the turf in front of him, and the Lions will be forced to kick.
Well, they did their job. Get in and get out in a hurry. Get that offense on the field.
The Lions winning their only 2 starts. 40-15 against Calgary, 44-1 over Saskatchewan. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 2-1 record. Good kick by Pasaglia. Williams down the sideline. He actually outruns his blockers.
He made a lot out of nothing. He didn't have the greatest blocking over there, but he's so quick. He almost broke it.
Peter Vandenbos made the tackle after a 25-yard return.
See Howard blocking on Scott Leckie. Leckie gets rid of him, and who picks him up? Couldn't even get his number. I think it was 45.
Larry Ruck.
But he almost broke that. That's good running.
Williams, of course, feels that he should return every punt for a touchdown. And now the crowd trying to play a role in the ball game as it's dumped off to Milson Jones, and Milson Jones is out to the 51-yard line. Stopped by Glenn Jackson. 6:19 is the time remaining.
It's that little slip screen or a read screen where the quarterback just takes a couple steps back. They pull the lineman, give it to the back. Glenn Jackson took the blocker on. Now, he could take him on, but when Andre Francis is 5'9" and 170 has to take that lineman on, he takes the worst of that hit.
2nd and 4 from the 51-yard line. Brian Kelly goes wide right. Stephan Jones to the left. Off the fingertips of Tom Richards, incomplete.
I don't think Richards was expecting that to get through there. It surprised him.
So with 5:44 left in the game, the Eskimos are forced to kick, and following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian company with international reach, providing leadership in the world of high technology financing.
Well, when we picked this most valuable player, Don, right now it's pretty tough choices. Quite a few guys.
There are a number of candidates on both sides of the ball on both teams. The Lions this time trying to set up the return. Dixon really hammers one, and it takes the bounce at the goal line and back into the field of play, and then rolls out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
Ideal kick. Got him pinned right inside the 5-yard line, 1st and 10, but that's a perfect kick.
56 yards off the foot of Tom Dixon. It looked as though it might bounce into the end zone initially for a single point. Unfortunately for the Eskimos, it rolled back into the field of play, and now the Lions are at their own 4 with 5:19 left.
Yeah, with a 23-18 deficit facing the Eskimos, they didn't need the point. This is much better for their defense to operate. They pin those ears back and go now.
The official attendance has just been announced at 43,722. DeWalt going deep down the sidelines looking for Armour. It's incomplete. Cliff Toney came over to help Howard with coverage that time.
Well, when your job in a zone defense is to be deeper than the deepest receiver, Cliff Toney was perfect. He was a step or so ahead of Armour all the way down the field. There was no chance of completing that one.
DeWalt completing 20 of 37. He'd like to find a target right now with 4:53 remaining, and the Lions at their own 4-yard line. From the end zone, you see the defense that the Edmonton Eskimos are in. DeWalt dumps it off to Anthony Parker. Will he get a first down? It's going to be close. Stopped by Ron Howard.
Well, he was fighting for that yardage, and Ron Howard and Larry Ruck were really fighting to push him back. We had a good picture there at that time of DeWalt standing in and waiting, and you could see he knew he was going to get hit, and just as he threw it, he had to step back because he got hit.
This is going to be a very important measurement. I think he's short. And if he is, it will be decision time for Don Matthews. That's how much they are short of a first down.
Go get it. 2 inches. See how far exactly it is.
Matthews sends in the short yardage offense with 4:30 left in the game. 23-18, the Lions lead. The ball is just nudging the 14-yard line. They have to get it just beyond the 14. DeWalt will keep. He should have it. A couple of the Eskimos protesting that they really didn't like the spotting of that football, but to no avail.
Oh, I would say he got that first down. If your offensive lineman will fire out, watch him come off. You know, they're out there. He only needed about 4 inches. Everybody in the stadium knew where he was going. He didn't get much more than that, grant you, but he got it.
First down, BC. DeWalt can't find the receiver, and he goes down in the grasp of Dan Kearns and Stuart Hill.
Good job of coverage. William Mitchell just turned and ran with Scott Leckie, and you know, when you get an inside receiver on a linebacker, you hope to beat him, but Mitchell stayed with him stride for stride. He had him covered.
Unfortunately for the Eskimos, the Lions are using up precious seconds. 3:14 with the clock running is the time remaining. Don Matthews coming out of high school in Portland to join the Edmonton Eskimo coaching staff. He was a high school coach in Portland before helping the Eskimos to that string of Grey Cup successes. Complete to Jim Sandusky. Has he got a first down?
Going to come to the spot again.
Well, they will hear it, and we'll let you know of the decision when we return. Well, the measurement did reveal that the BC Lions had another first down out at the 25-yard line. 2:50 the time remaining, the clock running. The Eskimos desperately trying to force the Lions to kick that ball away. DeWalt completes the pass with John Pancratz out at the 35-yard line, close to another first down.
You don't get any better coverage on a receiver than the Eskimos had right there. That was just a well-thrown football. The receiver, Pancratz, beat the defensive back, turned to the inside, and there was a linebacker there, and that ball somehow found its way into Pankratz's stomach.
With 4:40 remaining, the Eskimos got away a tremendous kick by Tom Dixon, pinning the Lions back at their own 4-yard line, but they've been able to move it out to the 35 and a first down. Looking for Sandusky deep down the sidelines. It was out of bounds. Good coverage by Ron Howard.
Sandusky had him, too. He ran it down and out to the sidelines, and when he got to the sideline, he turned around and hesitated a second, and when Howard looked back to see if the ball was coming, he took off, and he got behind him. It was just thrown out of bounds.
It was 7-6 after 15 minutes of play. The Lions scored the lone touchdown of the second quarter to take a 13-10 halftime lead. They got another touchdown in the third on that punt return by Jim Sandusky, and then a Milson Jones touchdown in the fourth quarter has moved the Eskimos to within 5. Armour on the receiving end of the throw. He breaks the tackle. He got away from Stanley Blair, and gets the first down.
Well, that was one of those crucial plays in a football game. 2nd and 10, 2 minutes left. You need the ball. Armour makes a great individual effort. He's stopped by Stanley Blair, and he just runs out of his arms and gets a first down. Watch him. Blair knows where it's going. He gets around it. Now he comes up. Okay, I'll give you 5 yards, but I'm going to make the tackle and force you to kick it. Armour just runs out of his arms, gets that first down, and gets out of bounds.
1st and 10. The Lions at their own 51-yard line. 1:58 is the time remaining. Armour lines up wide to the right. The Walt dumped that one off just in time.
Now, when you run a play-action pass into the sidelines, you have a back, John Henry White or Parker, to pick up the linebacker. But they came with a halfback blitz, and Don Wilson, number 20, was in DeWalt's face right now, and DeWalt did the smart thing, get rid of it.
Has there been another coach in pro football who has been the head coach of 2 different teams in the same year?
I'll tell you what, if there is, we talked about this all day, and I didn't come up with any names.
Cliff Pony is the violator.
Yeah, he won't like it, but he had him hooked. He had him hooked real good.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton, number 6. First down.
And 1:46 is all the time that remains on the clock. The Eskimos desperately trying to get that football back.
The Eskimos have done a good job on 1st and 10, but the 2nd downs are killing them. Look at this throw. Now we're going to see Cliff Tony, see if he's got him. Had that right on, he had his right arm hooked around Pankratz's right arm where he couldn't get to the ball. Every time it's been 2nd down, the Lions have converted. Roy DeWalt's done a good job.
Anthony Parker is driven back by 3 Edmonton Eskimos, led by the middle linebacker, Danny Bass.
We said earlier this game's gone about the way you'd think a game between these 2 clubs would go. It's been a very, very hard-hitting game up on the front line, both ways. Both offensive lines have done a good job. Both defensive lines have done their job.
Rematches are going to be interesting between these 2.
Oh, yeah, when these 2 play, you can't help but get a little bit excited because they know just what's on the line come later down the road, and they can say they're not thinking about it, but they are.
2nd and 8 from the 49. Deep for Parker. He's got it.
Well, he got the ideal setup. A fast man in Anthony Parker on a linebacker. And if you notice how DeWalt threw the ball, watch him how he just lays it up nice and easy. Doesn't drill this. Lay it up. Let Parker go get it. William Mitchell couldn't run with him. Junior Robinson has to get over there to help him, but that's a well-thrown football.
That's something you see from the more experienced, mature quarterbacks. They know when to drill it and when to just lob it.
Yeah, the best guy I've ever seen as far as being able to see was Dieter Brock. When he came in the league, he threw through a wall. But when he left, he had the nice touch. He developed and he learned how to do it.
1:07 is the time remaining from just inside the 20-yard line. John Henry White barrels to the 11.
Boy, DeWalt has done what a coach wants a quarterback to do. He got that ball on his own 4-yard line, and he has just killed this clock. They're down to 1:01. They got a 2nd down and 2. If he converts this first down, he can watch that clock go right on out. Excellent.
This is the type of march that has to really please a coach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got a 5-point lead. You can't afford to give them the ball because a touchdown beat you, and DeWalt has done it for them.
2nd down to Anthony Parker. He'll get the first down with 40 seconds remaining.
You know, they've had some pretty good running backs in this BC Lion team, but John Henry White and this guy Anthony Parker is about as good as I've seen because the Parker is big.
A very effective combination.
Just power football. John Henry White leading, Anthony Parker running. He picks up that 1st and 10, and with 33 seconds now, DeWalt can just put it away.
1st and goal from the 9-yard line. Remember, this drive started back at the BC 4-yard line. The ball throwing into the end zone. Scott Leckie can't get it.
Now, I'll tell you what, I wasn't too knocked out about that call. We saw what happened last week in Ottawa when you start trying to put that ball in the end zone. With 33 seconds, you can put that game to sleep.
Scott Leckie injured on the play as he extended himself, reaching for that Roy DeWalt throw. Seconds, the time remaining. 23-18, the BC Lions leading the Edmonton Eskimos.
Leckie hurt himself just diving for the ball. I'll tell you, he made the effort. That's the big thing. If DeWalt's going to gamble and throw it, the receiver's going to make the effort to go get it. Leckie made the effort.
You think Don Matthews may be saying to Roy DeWalt, don't put it in the air again?
I think I know what I would tell him. I said, now, Roy, let's be honest. I know you'd like to put it in the end zone, but I see 19 seconds on the clock. If you take the ball and fall down with it on this down, all we have to do is snap it one more time to win. Who cares about points?
Well, a field goal would also make it an 8-point football game if the Edmonton Eskimos call a timeout in the final 19 seconds.
Well, they'll call a timeout. I really believe they will.
In his first starting assignment, pretty good night for the University of Guelph product, Scott Leckie, as he heads off to the British Columbia Lion bench.
Yeah, nice guy. Watching him on practice field today. Had a chance to talk to him today before the game. He's a good guy on this football team. Stepped in tonight and done everything that was asked of him. Caught a touchdown, played the special teams well again, and made a good effort there to try to get the clincher.
So Paul Nastasia comes in as his replacement. The clock does not start until the ball is snapped. The draw play. Parker continues fighting and gets down to about the 6-yard line. That takes the clock down to 14 seconds. There are also penalty flags on the play.
Just a draw. Makes it look like a pass. Drop straight back. Now hand it to Parker, and Parker has to escape right away. But he does have good balance. He battles.
Well, an offside call against the Edmonton Eskimos will erase, I'm sure, the last glimmering hopes they may have had of being able to mount a comeback, because now the ball is inside the 5-yard line. 14 seconds remaining.
Well, if you accept the penalty, the clock don't start until the snap of the ball, so there's 14 seconds left. See what they do with this one.
DeWalt was looking to throw, but he didn't get the opportunity as he was stopped back at the 10-yard line. Now 11 seconds remain. Bisaglia will be coming into the game to attempt a field goal, and that would make it an 8-point ball game if he's successful.
Now they call timeout.
The clock is stopped now at 9 seconds. Joe Ferrighelli must have felt that he had an almost ideal situation with just under 5 minutes remaining, as his punter, Tom Dixon, nailed one 56 yards to the 4 of the BC Lions, but that Edmonton defensive squad was unable to stop the march of the BC Lions.
Yeah, the Edmonton defense played really well late third quarter, early fourth quarter. The Eskimos finally put it in the end zone. Seemed like momentum was coming their way, and as you say, the great punt. But then Roy DeWalt did what Don Matthews would just love to see. Just took him on about a 100-yard march, killed off the time, 9 seconds. The only hope is a blocked field goal. Let's see what happens. No way.
And Bisaglia puts it through with 6 seconds remaining. The BC Lions lead by 8. 26-18 is the score.
Well, they're going to take the ball. On the 35, Dunnigan's in the ball game. Williams is in the ball game. I believe Williams is going to take off and go. Let's see what happens. They're going to throw deep to Henry Williams. You see number 2 in there? You know what you do when you send him deep? Send one of your other receivers behind him, because that ball's going to be tipped in the air probably, and maybe the back guy, you know, the receiver can come back in and get it. Well, you got Kelly on one side. I think it's coming over here to Jones and Williams.
Well, they've got the 2 speed merchants, Jones and Williams, to the same side. Donegan looking downfield. He throws into the middle. It's intercepted.
Todd Wiseman.
And the rookie, Todd Wiseman, ends the ball game with an interception of the Matt Donegan throw, preserving a 26-18 BC Lion win over the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, those are hopers anyway. You know, I mean, the chances of them hitting a touchdown are so slim. You may as well throw it. Just throw it down the field. Heck, anything, you know, pass interference, anything. But Todd Wiseman does it right. Stay back when the ball's in the air, run and catch it. Now he does another good thing. He knows it's over. Watch it. He doesn't try to go anywhere. Just stop.
Pass intended for Tom Richards. Wiseman intercepts, and Don Matthews and the BC Lions have their 3rd win of the year, 26-18 over Edmonton.
Western Conference, the Lions and the Eskimos meet head-on here at BC Place, and it's the Lions who win it for a number of reasons, one of which was the performance of our Canada Lease MVP award winner Roy DeWalt of the BC Lions. We mentioned a couple of times tonight Brian Kelly of the Eskimos pursuing the CFL all-time touchdown reception record. It is at 88. Kelly has 86. He's going to have to wait at least one more game because Brian Kelly of the Eskimos did not catch a pass at BC Place tonight. Now let's go to Ron and Don for some final thoughts on this game.
Well, that was surprising that the BC Lions were able to shut down Brian Kelly as effectively as they did, and I think that may have played a big role in the outcome of this ball game.
Well, he's such a key person in it that they said yesterday Andre Francis could take him out of the ball game. That's what they had to do. But I think the key tonight was Roy DeWalt in that last 5 minutes. He played as well as anybody I've seen.
You want ball control in the final few minutes of a ball game, and Roy DeWalt certainly provided the Lions with that in their 8-point victory, 26-18. Now let's go down to Scott Oak.
All right, Don, and once again, the final score tonight at BC Place, the Lions 26, the Eskimos 18. So the Eskimos fall to 2-2, while the Lions still comfortably in first place at 3-0. A week tonight, the CFL brings you Saturday Night Football from BC Place, Ottawa, here to play the Lions.
They scored 4 straight wins. Edmonton Eskimos scored on 2 Donegan bombs and went on to a 42-28 victory. Edmonton improving their record now to 3-2.
7-0 on kicking points, and then Matt Donegan went to work for Edmonton. Watch him toss this one 45 yards to Brian Kelly. For Kelly, this is a routine catch with a blue bomber all over him. Then Donegan goes in to score a touchdown, tied the score at 7-7. They would not be headed after that. Stanley Blair, though, will go right here, an interception of Tom Clements, 69 yards for Edmonton, and Edmonton had a startling 14-7 lead. They haven't done this lately, but they did it tonight. Then Matt Donegan, 89 yards. Watch this touchdown going deep, and it's Stephen Jones, and he's gone. 21-7 Edmonton. What a play this was, going deep with that rainbow catch. This is Ken Wyvie, rookie for Winnipeg, returning a kickoff. He'll go all the way, 92 yards. This is CFL excitement all the way, and that would make the score 21-14 Edmonton. This is big play football. This is now in the second half. Tom Clements, like magic, goes to Jeff Boyd. Some kind of catch there between interceptors who didn't intercept. Clements then will go to James Murphy, and Murphy in the end zone. It was 28-21 Eskimos. They would come back. This receiver is Tom Richards, who was born in Brantford. He goes all the way 72 yards from Donegan, 35-21 Eskimos. They're playing beanball with this football. Here's a big run. Willard Reeves, whack near the end of the game, and will win the next play, the last play in a scoring sense, 42-28 Eskimos.
Early in the first quarter, Tom Burgess has his pass picked off by Alvin Bailey. Takes it 34 yards to pay dirt, 10-0 Hamilton. Leading 10-1 later in the quarter, Terry Baker punting for the Roughies. He punts to the wrong guy, In this case, Earl Winfield bobbles it a bit, but then he takes off, and I mean, he takes off, picks up a convoy of blockers here, cuts back, couple of great moves. He will go 71 yards for the major, breaks a tackle there. He also added 7 receptions for 99 yards as Hamilton led 17-1. Late second quarter now, 52 seconds left. Riders cap off the best drive of the game. Walter Bender with the first offensive touchdown. It was 17-8 at the half. Then with a